So about that spooky Gen 3 Pokemon concept art that got leaked not too long ago, I have been explaining Pokemon lore and design origins on this channel for almost a decade now, and yet I have never seen official Pokemon concept art look this strange. So I suppose I should use this expertise of mine to look over them all, attempt to figure out what exactly they are or supposed to be, and give you my thoughts. My first thought is that they are kind of funnily, not like funny ha ha ha, but funny as in it's just fun. Funnily very much products of their time. These Pokemon, the not Rayquaza especially, gives me big back of the box or game manual artwork for an early PlayStation 2 game vibe, especially JRPGs of the era. I could very much see this not Rayquaza on an early 2000s issue of Game Informer. It's both the colors and the rendering style, I think. But given that Pokemon has a relatively simple cartoony anime aesthetic with very simple sprites and an anime, why go through all this detail? They look like they'd fit right into Final Fantasy X. Well, have you seen concept art for a lot of games and shows? While they are often a lot closer to the final product these days, back then, there simply were not as many standard methods and whatnot, and the idea of concept art was less about getting the exact looks and designs done, and more about figuring out the vibes, the feels, how things should look in the general sense rather than the literal "this is how they look" sense. Another factor is that a lot of concept artists just want to get their ideas down on paper, all of their ideas, no matter how dumb. That way, those ideas aren't tickling the back of their minds and distracting you while you're trying to work more seriously. Okay, what? Car furry. And while the artists dump all of their ideas down, many artists just art in whatever style they are most comfortable with, or whatever style they think will get the idea across better, or the vibe. Like, look how horrifying this cactus monster is. Yeah, that's the concept art for Cacturne. And if your idea for a Pokemon is a spooky cactus that stalks people in the desert slowly waiting for their demise, peering just over sand dunes and from behind rocks so that when the prey turns around, they see it for just a brief moment and they get a chill down their spine, and it's just standing there in the distance, staring, watching every night, waiting for you to die of dehydration so it can eat your corpse. Do you show your boss this haunting cactus creep? Or some kind of cute anime cactus with a mildly creepy smile? Obviously, for Pokemon, the latter would be closer to the final product, but the former is better at getting your idea across and approved by your manager to enter the next step, becoming properly Pokemonified. So who drew all of these? Who can we blame? Well, unfortunately, that's not directly in the data, aside from one of them. This one. It appears to be a stone guardian of some sort, likely protecting a place akin to the ruins of Alph, hence all the unknown symbols on it. Translating these unknown, you get this jumble of letters. Or perhaps Okutani Jun, designed on day 0. Jun Okutani is a known Game Freak art department employee from 1999 to 2010, perfect timing, and I wonder just how many of these weird concepts were his. There does seem to be a few subtle differences in art styles here, but the main thing I want to know is what was going on through Okutani's head while making this. Same with the others and their designers. What are their design origins? What's the real-world lore and inspirations that led to these? Well, this one is definitely fantastical. It's almost like the Colossi in Shadow of the Colossus. It's a mysterious obelisk lifted into the air, and the main body is down here, and the feet. What are those? Ayo, paws! It's got lizard or gecko feet. It's like holding onto the obelisk the way geckos hold onto walls and poles in the back image. Lots of geckos have huge tails, like the African fat-tailed gecko, or pet leopard geckos who eat too much. And when in an aggressive stance, they often lift their tails straight up to try and be intimidating. They just look cute instead though. But famously, they can detach their tails too, and I'm not sure if this chiseled blocky guy with its eyeball on the bottom of it is attached to that obelisk or not. Either way though, an ancient guardian golem of sorts. But this one is definitely a dog with a snake tongue and glowing energy inside of it. Its file name translates to Psycho Dog, so perhaps that's psychic energy in there, but it also feels a bit ghostly too, since it doesn't really have feet. Are these like nerves? Like the nervous system, which is all connected to the brain, so it's all like psychically emanating from the nerves? I suppose. I wonder if it was planned to be a psychic ghost type, or just psychic. It was definitely cut because this design is just too complex for what a GBA sprite could handle. That didn't stop them from trying though, there are sprites of it in some of the beta versions. Or it was possibly cut because its potential theoretical origins are too dark, even for Pokemon to base things on. I'm thinking it's kind of like an Inugami, a dog yokai that's pretty messed up. Psycho, even. For a time, black magic practitioners in Western Japan would attempt to create them as familiars, and the process was simple, yet totally cruel. First, you would get yourself a nice dog and chain it up somewhere, and then you starve it, but you have to continuously bring food near it or eat near it, just outside of reach, so that it can't get it. The idea is to torment and mentally break the dog, making it really aggressive and go berserk at the very smell of food. Then, just before it dies of starvation, you decapitate it and bury its head at a crossroads where people commonly walk. That way, its spirit similarly gets no rest and is being constantly tormented, as it's being trampled on. Eventually, its spirit, filled with hate, becomes an Onryo, a vengeful spirit. The head would then become animated by this spirit, unbury itself, and walk among the living. Now notice how this Dogmon's head is completely there, and at the base of its neck, it's like torn flesh. Oof. A psychotic dog head with a ghost or psychic energy body. That doesn't explain the snake tongue, though. That could be there just to make it more evil looking, but it could also be because it's partially a Mushukshushu from Mesopotamian mythology. They mix together a bunch of animals. It's an eagle, lion, fish snake with the demeanor and attitude of a guard dog. It has a snake tongue and two very pointy horn/crest things, not unlike this psycho dog's weird, extremely pointy ears. It's possible, though I am leaning more on Inugami. Speaking of, you'll be happy to know that the practice of making any spirits in cruel ways like that was banned in the Heian period. Which also means that it was common enough that the nobles knew about it and had opinions about it. Well, that was certainly some nightmare fuel. Good thing I've got today's sponsor, Manta, to help me sleep tonight. I have had a lot of sponsors over the years, but none of them have surprised me as much as this one. You see, I'm the type who, hates sleep masks, even though I'm also the kind who, piles shoes and luggage and furniture, all that I can onto the windowsill of hotel rooms to block out as much of the light coming in as possible. I need darkness or I can't sleep, but I've also never managed to wear one of these successfully. They've always just been terrible, be it because sensory issues or they just not working at blocking the light, you know? Well, it turns out the problem was I was using disposable dollar store sleep masks that don't block all the light or even a percentage of it. But this, it's so comfortable. Each eye cup is adjustable so it fits any face. It stays perfectly put overnight thanks to its snug fit, and yet it's totally breathable. Where were you during my last road trip? I would have slept so much better. Actually, where are you now? Oh, right, face. This is the Pro mask, but they also have a Bluetooth mask with soft speakers, a cool mask, a steam mask, a silk mask if you're into that, and a weighted mask that feels like a nice lovely hug on your face. But not the spooky alien kind. For real, this is forever in my suitcase now, and I think I could actually take a daylight nap. I've never managed to do that. And right now, they're taking 10% off if you use the link at the top of this video's description, or the code Lockstin. Thanks a bunch. Backing up to the Cacturne now, comparing this concept art to the eventual Cacturne, we see that they did eventually add on some scarecrow elements with its pose and hat, but originally it was a quadruped, which would help with desert traversal. It's like a camel with big wide elephant feet to better disperse its weight so it doesn't just sink into the sand. Oh no, help. Up close, you can see that its spikes are all in clusters, like many species of cactus, but then the further back art simplifies some of those clusters into diamond shapes, the same ones that Cacturne eventually kept. Its head is a tetrahedron here, like a D4 die, which is pretty interesting. That's not a very commonly seen shape in nature. But maybe it would be if plant-like creatures were real and used sand for blood the way Cacturne does. You see, fine desert sand is mostly made up of silicates. About 2/3 of the Sahara Desert is made up of silicate minerals, which, if you zoom way into, at the atomic level, they are tetrahedrons. because that's just the shape silicon happens to prefer. Plus, tetrahedrons look pretty spiky, so its head could also just be seen as one giant thorn. Now, the file name for this Cacturne translates to Cactus 2, so where is Cactus 1? Why, it's here! That's not Cacnea at all! Instead, it's a big cactus monster that seems to resemble a ladyfinger or walking stick cactus due to the shape of its body and arms and fingers all being, like, completely blanketed in thorns, and having its arms and head out kind of pose that it's doing. These cactuses very much like to grow every which way. Now, inside these leaked files, there are 2 wolves. These 2, they appear to be rock-covered wolves? Question mark. Is this an idea used for Lycanroc over a decade later? Then again, I suppose wolf plus rock is not exactly a difficult concept to come up with. And their faces are a bit flat for wolves, and their ears a bit too long. Are they supposed to be, like, more feline? Like Asiatic lions? With the manes and the blip on the end of the tail, the way lions do. I'm getting some depressed Red 13 vibes here. The way these minerals are like caked into their manes kind of reminds me of what happens to animals who wander into drying salt flats unprepared. The salt and minerals stick to them, usually causing them to, and then die if they can't deal with it. Something about the big one's color and eyes makes me think it's not super happy about all those attached minerals, but maybe it grows from them naturally, like how horse sweat can dry on them, making them look all salty. They look that way because they are now all salty. These Pokemon might just keep adding to the salt until it crystallizes into these big chunks. Big salt mineral mane! They would fit right into Hoenn's Meteor Falls perfectly. Caves with waterfalls famously stack minerals into huge structures, and their walls are caked in them. In fact, these caves have mineral flats. And Kyushu, real-world Hoenn, is littered with dripstone caves and features like these. So, be they canine or feline or both or something in between, they fit in the region pretty nicely. Now, how about this not Rayquaza? It's named Esper Rocket, so definitely Rayquaza, who rockets into space, and it looks like a weird upside-down blimp with a face and 4 huge wings sticking out. Lots of giant flying creatures get depicted with 4 wings like this. It's like saying, hey, I'm so big, I need double the lift even! Even though that's not quite how it works in non-insects. There were actually birds with 4 wings back in the Cretaceous period, like this one with this name I'll mispronounce if I attempt it. They died out though, because 4 wings is not better than 2. Moving away from creatures though, this Rayquaza also strikes me as a living steampunk airship blimp kind of thing, and how a lot of those had 4 or more wing-like sails, and were typically the same colors as this strange mon. Plus, steampunk as an aesthetic boomed in the 80s and 90s and was most widely known about in the early 2000s, when this art was made. And now, this. This little dude in a little rock egg? I've got a feeling it was intended to evolve into this weird fish guy whose file name translates to bad fish. I think they are linked because the main body has similar colors and fingers, and if you look really closely, the little dude, it's got a similar fishtail back there in the shadows of the rock egg. So it is like a little safety egg rock that it lives in until it grows up. Many small fish lay their eggs in places like that. But wait! Could this have been a super early Clamperl? They probably wanted to do a clam of some sort for this gen from the beginning, seeing as southern Japan has some of the most clams and pearls in the nation. So I could definitely see that. There are some fish like the bitterling that lay their eggs inside of clams for protection too. Ultimately though, I am glad that they changed this into Clamperl and Huntail though. This early concept art makes them look like generic, monstrous merfolk. And that's about all there is to it. Armored Scorpion is next. Given that its face is ugly and fanged and its tail looks like that, I wonder if this was eventually looked back upon and led to Drapion. Though I could also see its body plan and likely steel typing leading to Metagross as well. You see, with a name like Armored Scorpion, it's very safe to say it's gray for a reason. It's metal-coated, perhaps even steel bug type or mono steel. It also gives me Rayman 2 vibes that could fit right in. Plenty of darker scorpions appear metallic and shiny thanks to their extra smooth exoskeletons, and even just having an exoskeleton makes them kind of armored already. See the later Durant. It's easy to just, the exoskeleton is steel now, an animal into a Pokemon, you know? Given its spiky teeth and rounder body compared to most scorpions, I could see it potentially pulling from the tailless whip scorpion. Look at those jagged teeth on them grippers. And then just give it a tail that resembles razor wire. Ouch. Now, these final three. I'm kind of at a loss. I have some ideas, but nothing solid or even educated, like a bowel movement after Bayou meals. First, there's this thing. Where do I even start with this? It's like if Swampert was a dinosaur. It's very much a, like, generic blue monster. Interestingly, these aren't cyan spots. They look like holes, and it's almost glowing cyan inside of it, like the kaiju from Pacific Rim. Only this predates that. Maybe it's like how Godzilla glows cyan sometimes? Well, crystal caves and the monsters that inhabit them are often cyan like this, sometimes even blind, as many cave dwellers are. It's a small trope, and you know, its head being smooth like that, it makes me kind of think of the Boulette from the Dungeons & Dragons universe. Smooth head, wide legs and feet, teeny tiny little eyes, lives mostly in caves, especially glowing ones, so it's like a dinosaur Boulette with a dorsal fin on its head, and it's filled with holes for some reason. Maybe due to erosion? Foreshadowing! New character 2! Thanks, file name. It looks like another generic monster, a behemoth of one though, and given its sandy-looking fur and rocky-looking rocks, could it have been a super early design of Crawdaunt when all they knew was they needed a land creator and nothing else? Could be. Maybe that previous one then is a super early Kyogre with its weird dorsal fin head and it being blue because water. Do you think that those holes that were throughout its body shoot water out in all directions? Maybe it's like a sponge. It would make sense for these two to be linked though, because its face also makes me think of a Boulette. And this guy absolutely would burrow through the ground rapidly and slap hard with its blunt mace tail. It's like if an Ankylosaurus had the body plan of a gorilla. New character 6 also has a gorilla body plan, almost, if you squint real hard and didn't quite know what a gorilla was. It looks so rough and ancient. Are those ribs? These are ribs. Yeah, those are absolutely exposed ribs. And is its face just a big skull with like a T-Rex skull with the big hollow spots? I forget what those are called. And all these nondescript ancient scribbly markings. It feels like it could have been a really, really early draft of the idea behind the Regi trio. An ancient golem construct thing sealed away by ancient humans eons ago. And it's just been withering in a cave since then. Its back legs also make me kind of think of crab legs, and its front legs have like claws sticking out of the paws, and the front of those leg arms is armored. Kind of like those crabs who have the really wide claws that are always face downwards. You could use it to like defend its face or its exposed ribs. You know, the left image makes its face skull thing almost look kind of star-shaped. Super early messed up Crawdaunt? Anyone? Eh? No? This is one of my many dumb theories. Let me know some of yours, because Lord knows I barely know what I'm talking about right now. These dudes are so weird, and I love all of them, except for that one. It's just a merfolk. A river Zora. Please consider subscribing, hitting the bell, becoming a member, buying merch from my merch store, coming to my house, and then giving me all of your mortal possessions. It would really make my evening.